Let's talk about pageant platforms. Most girls, and I hope this includes you, most contestants, when they enter a pageant, it is because, at least partially, they want to make a big impact on their society, whether it's giving back, whether it is, and that could, giving back could not just be money, it could be your time, could be your effort, blood, sweat, and tears. But most girls, when they enter, they know inherently that service or giving back to the community is part of what pageantry is about. Now, in this video, what I want to go over is my take on what a good advocacy is, or a good platform. I'll use those terms interchangeably. I feel that platform is more what Americans will use. Advocacy tends to be more what we use in Australia, but either or, I'm talking about the same thing here. And just so you know, I'll be referring quite a lot to Kristen Wright's platform, who's our current Miss World Australia. A, because I know her, I've worked with her, but B, also because I think she's got a really, really good platform and really good advocacy, and it has received acknowledgement from, for example, Miss World itself, and has been featured in multiple press sources, including national TV over here. So I'll be using her as an example, together with some others that I know. But the three things that I think go into a good platform or an effective platform and advocacy. And just to make it simple, number one, and I'm looking at my notes, number one, I think it should have an element that's personal to you. I think it should be something that is relevant to yourself and to your story. So number one, personal. Number two, I think it has to have a very clear objective. I think all too often that people just say, oh, I'm going to raise awareness. Now, raising awareness is good. Don't get me wrong. There's nothing bad with it. But I feel very often that it's a bit of a lazy way out to just say, I'm going to raise awareness. Is there something else you could do other than raising awareness? Particularly when that raising awareness really is just saying that you put a post up on Instagram and people saw it. It's like, yes, okay, that's awareness technically, but social media is so busy. Someone just looking at it, at your post, they may have no idea what you're talking about. So that's number two, have a clear objective. Number three is impact and visibility. So you've got a platform, hopefully that's personal to you. You've got a clear objective. How effective have you been at achieving that objective? So those are the three things I want to cover today. So is it personal? Do you have a clear objective? And what's your impact and visibility like? And are there ways in which you could magnify your impact? Because let's face it, at the end of the day, you might have the best platform in the world, but if no one hears about it, then is it really an effective advocacy or platform? And I would argue that it's not. People need to hear about it and hopefully be positively impacted. Now, I will say, before I get into this, I'm not coming at this topic as pageant expert, right? I'm fully aware that maybe for a pageant experts, pageant coaches, pageant judges, maybe even pageant directors would like to see something different than I would. I'm coming at it from the angle of social media and from someone as an entrepreneur. I have been working in my own business for the last 2 decades. And so knowing how to market yourself and the business side of things, it's something that I'm much more interested in and probably, frankly, know more about than exactly what a pageant advocacy or pageant platform is. And sometimes I do feel that I disagree with the platforms that maybe your coaches sometimes tell you to have. So, for example, the one that honestly irritates me a bit are the ones where it's just raising awareness and you are told to start a hashtag on Instagram, or maybe you start up a new Instagram. And I look at that, and that's all well and good. But if you really want to make an impact, and particularly if you want longevity, as in you don't want to just do this for a pageant, you actually want this thing to have legs and to be doing it for the next year, 5 years, 10 years, regardless of whether you win the pageant or not. Things that I see very often just don't help with that long-term vision. So, for example, so many people do interviews, Instagram lives. If you go to, and let me actually just bring this up. So I'll cut across to Maria Thattil. Now, Maria Thattil was our Miss Universe Australia. I'm sure most of you watching this know about her. And if you Google, for example, Maria Thattil interview, do you notice that the three top results on Google, and Google is by far the most used search platform, do you notice that the first three ones are all interviews, but they're all on YouTube? This is why I do my interviews on YouTube, not on Instagram Live. Instagram Live might be easier for you to do. I get that. but you're noticing it's not showing up here. And I'm sure Maria Thattil did a lot of Instagram lives with interviewers. And then if you look down here, these are all sort of press or media brands. Girl.com.au, Insta Australia, that's a big women's magazine over here. It's all kind of press release and media. Putting it on your social media is all well and good. But from my perspective, I would be encouraging probably a different approach if you really want this platform of yours to have legs past your pageant career. Just bear that in mind. I might be saying or telling you different things than maybe your pageant coach is telling you, and I think that should be okay because I'm coming at it from a different angle. So let's get into it. So as I said, the three things. First, make it personal, have a clear objective, and then three, let's look at your impact and visibility. Now, number one, personal. Why do I think a good advocacy or platform should be personal to you? The simple answer to that, there's a couple of things. Number one, if you're interested in it, and you probably are if it's personal to you, it's going to be easier to put in the effort. I think we all know that. Very often people are told in a career you want to do something you enjoy. I don't think that's the only thing that you should factor into a career, but it's very true that if you enjoy something, you're going to go the extra mile, right? If you enjoy going to the gym and lifting weights, you're much more likely to do that versus going for a 30-minute run if that's your idea of personal health. So that's one thing. The other thing is if it's personal to you, you probably know a lot about the subject already. And I think a key of a good platform is actually knowing what you're talking about. I don't think you really want to go into a platform where you know absolutely nothing about it. So, for example, if you want to start up a platform on mental health, and I don't necessarily advocate that right at the moment because that is what everyone is doing and it's all too easy to blend in. I think there are ways to do it to stand out, but I see a lot of girls just doing a generic mental health platform, and unfortunately, you look like 99% of your competition, which I don't think is a good thing, again, from a business and marketing perspective. But let's say you wanted to start up something around mental health, and you don't actually have any lived experience with mental health. It's not that I'm saying you're going to be inauthentic, but you don't really know what it's like, do you? Like you can interview other people, you can listen to other people, but it's better, it's preferable if you have lived experience with it. Now, as I said, I'll use Kristen as an example here. Now, Kristen's advocacy, if you have a look over on Educate Resuscitate, which is her platform, Kristen is a scuba diver, a certified scuba diver. I think one of the youngest ever certified in her home state, maybe even in Australia. I think she was 19 or something when she was certified. Kristen, you can correct me if I'm wrong. But she lost a dear mentor of hers during her journey. So her whole platform is surrounding how to teach these young children how to swim or how to not drown. During the pandemic, if I'm remembering correctly, at least here in Australia, the drowning numbers went through the roof. And that's because for a multitude of reasons related to the pandemic. But you can see here, and this is not even her main page, but this is the Educate Resuscitate page on her website. You can see at the top, there's a nice large YouTube video. And then you can see here Miss World's acknowledgement of her project, which is a huge thing. Some nice photos. And then she's documented her journey. And you can see here there's a bit of a blog going on. Scroll down. There is more. So here's some resources, etc., etc. So you can see it's well laid out. It's well structured. But more than that, it's personal to her. It's very easy for Kristen to talk about her platform because it is personal to her through her mentor who passed away. And she knows what she's talking about as a certified scuba instructor. So this doesn't always have to be the case. Maybe you want to start up a platform that you don't know much about, but obviously you're going to want to find out as much as you can before you start talking about it and advocating for it. If you're about to plan your platform, there's going to be some area where you have an expertise. And I'm hesitant to say that because you might think, well, Adrian, I'm not an expert. When I say expertise, all I'm saying is that you know more about this subject than the average member of the public. As an easy example for yourself, you're a pageant girl, you're a pageant competitor, you are guaranteed to know more about makeup than the average girl out there, more than likely. Even if you don't consider yourself a makeup expert, putting it on yourself, you probably have just picked up quite a lot by being around it. An example I would give from myself is violin, for example. Now, I played the violin since I was 2, but I've had like a very, very long period off. But because that was part of my childhood, I know a lot more about violin than the average member of the public. So, for example, just yesterday I bought a new bow, a carbon fiber bow. So I can talk if I had a platform and advocacy surrounding, let's say, music, or the violin in particular, then I would feel comfortable talking about it because that's my experience. I don't have to go and try and research it and memorize it. Obviously, I can do that as well. Basically, there are a lot of advantages to picking a platform that is personal to you in some way. A couple of other examples I'll give here, just with the Miss World Australia girls, because I worked with them. This one is Caitlin Pittix. So she just competed in Miss World Australia. Her advocacy is around scoliosis. Why? Well, because she had scoliosis growing up. In fact, you can see that photo right there. I think that's a relatively recent photo. And you can even see the scar on her back where she had the metal rods inserted to help cure or correct the scoliosis. Another example, Eliza, who was another Miss World Australia contestant that I worked with, her advocacy surrounds ADHD and neurodiversity and wanting to increase the representation, particularly of women with ADHD. Now, why is that? It's because she was diagnosed with ADHD last year, or roughly last year, when she was 21. She's now 22. And the amount of work she had to put in, she's a med student, the amount of work she had to put in to find out some things herself to help diagnose herself is very, very interesting and deeply personal to her. I don't think she has fully fleshed out her advocacy just yet, but I know that she intends to do a lot with it in the future. So, number one, try and pick a platform or advocacy that's personal to you. Number two, this is very easy to understand, have a clear objective. And please try to make it more than just raising awareness. Now, as I said, I have no issue with raising awareness. There are a lot of issues out there that need awareness raised, but I don't count simply putting up posts on social media. I think that's part of it, but I think that is the absolute lowest bar that you should be setting yourself. Of course, you should be putting up things on your social media about it, but let's be honest. If I wanted to start up a mental health platform, I could go to ChatGPT right now and say, give me 100 posts about mental health. Then I could go to Canva, link the two up, and create 100 mental health posts in less than, the whole thing would take me less than an hour, but that would probably take maybe 5 minutes. And then I could schedule it on something like Planoly or later and have that mapped out for me for the next 100 days. But I haven't really done anything. None of it's personal to me. And frankly, because it's not personal to me, I don't know the stuff that I'm putting up really makes sense or is really the best information I could put out there. So when I say have a clear objective, if you want to say raising awareness, great. But let's say at least set an objective as to how much reach you want to have and who you want it to reach. Because some people have, for example, if you look at the demographics of your social, you might have predominantly female, you might have predominantly male. What are the age ranges? Are they different? Are your demographics different on different socials? So give some thought up front. What are the objectives? I want to reach, for example, 18 to 25-year-old women. Okay, how are you going to do that? Can you do it on your social? Or would you have to go somewhere else? But other objectives. So, for example, Kristen's one again is very easy to see. We want to reduce the number of drownings. Caitlin's advocacy with the scoliosis, building awareness around scoliosis. So, things to look for, right? To help parents or young women realize, hey, I might have scoliosis, to go see a doctor. Eliza's advocacy or platform surrounding ADHD, increasing the representation of women with ADHD. And frankly, also, there are so many people, I think, who go undiagnosed with ADHD, and I might have been one of them, that knowing the signs to maybe go and see your GP to get a referral to a psychiatrist to help with that. So those are all examples of clear objectives that are more than just, oh, I'm going to put a post on social media. And those are ones that really could have a tangible effect on someone's life. In the case of Kristen's one, you could literally be saving a life. And in the case of Caitlin's and Eliza's, there's a huge impact past simply putting something on social media and building awareness. Because let's face it, all of us are so busy. All of us have so much information in our head. Yes, I might have seen your post, but I may not have taken anything from it. I might have just gone right past it. And you'll see, oh, this post reached X amount of people, but it actually hasn't impacted them in any way. Have a clear objective, and awareness is a great first step, but try to craft an objective that goes past simple awareness. Is there a next step? That when you do build the awareness, is there a next step that you would advocate for those people that they can take? So, for example, in the case of Caitlin and scoliosis, she raises the awareness, but then are there some objectives or some tests? Because I know that she just put up a post about a toe touch test. I haven't read it yet, but information like that that has a much greater chance of having a tangible impact on someone with scoliosis than simply putting up a generic social media post. So I hope that makes sense. Okay, so number one, we want to start, I believe, with something that's personal to you. Number two, set yourself a clear objective. Awareness, okay, great. But is there some impact above that that you want to have? And then finally, the impact and visibility. So assuming that you've got something that's personal to you and you've got a clear objective, what are the best ways to sort of magnify your impact and your visibility? Now, I've already said, for example, and I'll bring this up again with Maria as an example, Maria Thattil, former Miss Universe Australia. There are a lot of articles on her, but none of them are really social media. I mean, yes, YouTube, I guess you could say, is social media, but that's also a content platform. It's almost like a streaming platform, isn't it? So she's had a huge impact, a huge reach, and it's not simply from just posting stuff on her Instagram. Now, if I cut across to Kristen's website, I'm going to just go out on a limb and put it out there. If you are really serious about having an impact, I think you should start up some sort of website. Now, it doesn't have to be as comprehensive, let's say, as Kristen's, with the home, the about, Miss World Australia, etc. Having said that, it is so easy to put together a website today. If you're wondering where to go, I would say the easiest one is either Wix or Squarespace. I personally used Squarespace. I have found it very easy to use. It's drag and drop simple. If you can put together something on Canva, if you know how to edit a Word document, you can now create a website. And yeah, some of them cost maybe $30 a month. You can get cheaper options. But again, if you really want to, if you're serious about taking this platform past simply your pageant, then I think you have to have a website. And it's for a couple of reasons. One big one is related to, I keep talking about Maria, sort of Googling Maria's name and seeing what comes up. Websites rank much more highly in search than a post on Instagram is going to. So if, for example, I searched Educate Resuscitate, which is the name of Kristen's platform, if all it was a post on social media somewhere, it's very unlikely that I'm going to be able to find it, even if I wanted to find out something about it. If she's put posts on social media, but she's also got her website talking about it, and she's also got all these press releases. If you go back to the Educate Resuscitate I showed you before, she's got press releases, she's got YouTube videos, she's been on national TV, and on your website, you can really collate this stuff, can't you? So you can grab all the news snippets you've got about yourself, maybe a local press, a local news snippet or a local newspaper featured you, and you put it together all on your website, and it makes it very easy for members of the public to find out all about your amazing platform. If you just do the hashtag on social media, that's great. But you and I both know a lot of the time, you will be posting all sorts of stuff on your social media. Some of it's just fun, casual stuff, probably. Some of it's you at the beach, some of it's you with your friends. And, a member of the public might have to scroll down like 9, 12, 20, 50, 100 posts, I don't know, to find out anything about your project. And that's really not good because people have a very short attention span. And if they can't find what they want, and again, this is my business and marketing brain talking, if they can't find what they want quickly and simply, they will stop looking. So you've really got one chance to grab them and tell them about your platform. The best way to do that, and I think it's always going to be the best way to do it, no matter what social platform comes out, is to start your own website. And this is, again, one of the reasons why I like what obviously Kristen, Caitlin and Eliza have done, they all have their own websites. And where do you put that? Well, I don't know, maybe in your Instagram bio. So, of course, you could have another thing that kind of sets me off is having 10,000 links in your link tree or whatever it is, because when you have that, you give people that much choice, they just don't look at any of it. I think it would be better if you just had one central website, because then people just go click, because it's the only thing they can click. When you have that link in your bio on your Instagram or your TikTok or your Facebook, and it's just like, if you want to find out more about me, click here. It's not, oh, visit my Amazon store here. Oh, visit my secondhand store here. Or visit this press site here. Visit my, here's my Spotify playlist. And then you scroll, 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 and people just get lost. So I really think if you're serious about having the maximum, we're talking about impact and visibility, maximum impact, visibility about your platform, you need to seriously consider putting a website together. So if I put, for example, Kristen Wright, and you can see some of the stuff is coming up. So when I just go Kristen Wright, you can see Miss Australia, Miss World Australia. I don't know why Disney is coming up. There must be another Kristen Wright up there. These results are starting to come up because she has put out content, and Google kind of has searched all of it, has trawled through, web crawled, and found out all these things. So it's suggesting searches. But if you only do social media, this sort of thing won't come up. But for example, if I put Kristen Wright, let's just find out. I don't know this will work. Educate, resuscitate. I don't even know how to spell that. And then you see, there you go. The top result is her website, Kristen A. Wright. If I click on that, there you go. You see how easy it is to find out. Whereas if all you did is social media posts, that would not happen. So now I'm on Kristen's website. The other good thing about the website is you control it. Right now, I have to find out about Kristen. If I go on Instagram to find out about you because you don't have a website, how many different ways can I get distracted on Instagram? Or even worse, God forbid, TikTok. TikTok, I don't remember the last time I went onto someone's profile on TikTok and went through more than 2 or 3 of their posts. Because TikTok would suggest something else or would put an advertisement up there, and then suddenly I'm thinking, gee, I need whiter teeth. Or wow, that cat's really funny falling in the swimming pool. So another really great thing about the website is you have their undivided attention. I know a lot of you do interviews, and that's great. You can interview experts in your field or interview people who've had lived experiences similar to your own. So Caitlin, for example, could very easily interview someone who's also had scoliosis. Eliza could interview any woman who had ADHD. But can you think about doing it, for example, on YouTube? Or not, for example, can you think about doing it on YouTube? Now, it's not as difficult as you think. So many people think things are difficult. And then I ask them, have you tried it? And they say no, which just it blows my mind. It makes me really frustrated. It makes me want to scream because, like, if you haven't tried it, how do you know it's difficult? The software that I use is called StreamYard. I do believe you can use it for free. The only thing that happens is that you can't stream it to as many locations. The quality may not be 1080p by 60 frames, and you get the powered by StreamYard logo on the top right. But having said that, if you put your interview on YouTube, again, looking at the Maria Thattil example, they're all YouTube results. There is one here on Facebook, but are you noticing there's nothing there on Instagram? So YouTube, if you think about doing interviews, if you think about doing video, and again, coming from a business and marketing background, if you want people to see your videos, you put them on YouTube. You would never say, I want everyone to see my video. Where can I get the most traction possible? I'll put it on Instagram. No one in business and marketing would do that. If you're doing short form video, that's another thing. The vertical 9:16, then obviously you would republish on Instagram Reels, Facebook Reels, TikTok, YouTube Shorts, etc. But long form video content, YouTube. Okay? So interviews, great. Look at StreamYard. Very easy to set up an interview, send a link to someone anywhere overseas, and they can jump on using they can use a proper webcam setup like what I got here on their computer. They can use a laptop. They can even use their mobile device. So there's no excuse to me to not be publishing your video content on YouTube. And if you are like Kristen and you have, for example, videos like this, publish them on YouTube. Put a bit of work into the title, into the caption, And that's another way for people to find you because she's putting out all these videos. So again, Google's web crawling and finding out all these different bits and pieces. And when they Google your name, the chances of people finding out about you, your advocacy, your platform, what you stand for, it's so much more greatly magnified than just putting it on your Instagram and maybe having one post buried 100 posts deep and thinking someone's going to find it. So just to recap, I want to leave it there. But the three things that I would be looking for, and again, this is from a business and marketing point of view. If someone came to me as a business client and said to me, Adrian, I want to launch the biggest, marketing strategy or launch this new product, these are the sorts of things I would be going over. I would never say, well, maybe you should do a post on Instagram and use a hashtag. Okay. If that's all you want to do and you think that works for you, that's enough. That's great. But if you want to go that one step further, here's a recap. Make it something that's personal to you. It just makes it more interesting, makes it easier, and it's easier to tell your story and drag people in because you've lived it, right? Number two, have a clear objective. Awareness is a great start, but are there other numbers or statistics you want to achieve? Do you want to raise a certain amount of money? Do you want to reduce a certain statistic in your local neighborhood or boost a certain statistic, etc., etc., etc.? And then number three, think about how you can maximize on your impact and visibility. If you're serious about this, you will not be asking the question of what's the easiest way for me to do this. It's like, well, I could just start a hashtag and I can say I've done my platform. Yes, fine. Tick the box. And if that's all that you're interested in, I don't really have a conversation for you. But if you are serious about having a proper advocacy and you really want to pursue it, regardless of the result of the pageant, you're going to maximize that impact and visibility by having a website as a start, collate all the stuff about you, all your videos, start publishing your videos on YouTube, start publishing blog posts. So you're magnifying your reach. And if you're going to do interviews, great, do them on YouTube. Then you can take out little clips of them for your other social media. So it's not like I'm saying don't post on Instagram or TikTok. Take out the little clips. But then they see the little clips. And if people are interested in it, you can say, well, to check out the full interview, go to my YouTube. The other thing you can do with the interviews is take the audio form and put it on a podcast. So it's all about so if you've got that thing that's personal to you and you have that clear objective and you really want to achieve it, that's where the impact and visibility comes in. And I think all too often, this is just my belief, at least in pageant circles, we rely on like Instagram. It's particularly Instagram right now, I have to say, like putting up a post or just starting an Instagram. And I do think that's just kind of the lazy way out. I don't think people are doing that. Correct me if you think I'm wrong. I don't think people are doing that because they really think that is the most effective way possible of maximizing their impact. I think they're doing it because they're comfortable with Instagram. They know how it works. If you are serious about having the maximized impact possible, start pushing yourself to learn some new skills. Website design, video editing, and all of these things are so much easier than they were even a year ago, 5 years ago. So I hope that gives you some ideas. If you're looking for some advice or some input on your platform, maybe how you could reach more people or how you could have a clearer objective, craft a clearer objective, or any of that stuff. Maybe you have an interest, a hobby, and you're like, Adrian, I have this hobby, but I have no idea how to turn it into a platform. Reach out to me. Post in the comments. We can have some sort of chat, and if we need to, we could maybe even jump on a call. But for me, the advocacy part of the philanthropic part, the platform part of pageantry should not just be, oh, here's an add-on. I really think in the modern day pageantry, that should be the core of what you're doing. And looking great on stage with your gown and your makeup, that should just be the pretty dressing to bring attention to your advocacy. It really bugs me when girls get that the other way round and they think it's still like modeling and, oh, look, I've got this advocacy in the background, but I never talk about it. I don't think that's what pageantry should be about. And I think if it keeps going that way, then pageantry is really going to die a death because people will just see straight through it. But if you lead with the service, you lead with a platform, you lead with a philanthropy, and yeah, look great on stage, go slay, then I think that has some legs. So, as I said, if you have any questions about any of this, reach out to me. I love helping girls work on their platform because I love to see them gain traction about something they're really interested in and passionate about. And you know what? Let me leave you with this. Sometimes that can actually turn into a business as well. So if you don't like your job or you don't know what to do, maybe your passion could be turned into a business somehow. I have helped people do that as well. So that's something else to keep in mind. But let me leave it there. Comment below any questions or you want any feedback, and I'll speak to you next time.